It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Blake Salser, who owns the Nashville Predators podcast, Seven Man Lounge. How are you doing today?
And Brent, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to own a fan podcast?
Yeah, man. First off, thank you for having me on the show tonight. Excited to be here. Yeah, well, it all started. This is actually my third podcast to have. My first one I started was kind of a sports pop culture podcast where we kind of talked a little bit about everything, kind of more of a barstool sports feel to it. And then I got asked to do the Bama Lounge, which is an Alabama all sports podcast that's associated with the Lounge Network. And then from there, I decided I wanted to take my favorite team, which is the Nashville Predators, and start a podcast with that as well. So I texted my buddy John Wisdom one day. I said, "Hey, we love the Preds and we don't talk about it as much as we want to. Why don't we just start a podcast about it and talk about it weekly and try to get some cool people on?" So that's what we did. It kind of moved pretty fast. We kind of hit our first three episodes starting at the end of this past season, of course, and the Preds ended up taking our first round exit to Carolina. So we kind of took a break after episode 3 and just started back on episode 4. But it's very exciting, man, getting to connect with some big guys, the Nashville Predators organization, getting to cover a lot of cool stuff. Very cool so far.
How did you come up with the name of the podcast, Seven Man Lounge?
Well, if you're familiar with the Nashville Predators at all, the seventh man is a huge factor when you're playing a home game in Nashville. I mean, I've talked to people who have been to arenas all over the world, and the seventh man in Bridgestone Arena is just an absolute electric factory. It doesn't matter if you're playing on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Saturday. You're going to have at least 16,000 screaming people in Golden Navy in that arena, and they're going to be rocking and screaming until they can't talk anymore. So I promise you, every single game I've gone to, I have lost my voice. It happens every single time.
What do you cover on your Nashville Predators podcast?
We cover a little bit of everything hockey-wise in the Nashville community. So ranging from the Nashville Predators all the way down to youth hockey, because lately, and especially just in the South, not just in Nashville, there's been a huge youth movement in the hockey world. And it's really cool seeing that in a town like Nashville that started, man, you couldn't find 5 people in the city of Nashville before 98 that knew a thing about hockey. And now it's one of the hockey meccas in the United States. And it's so cool to see. It's wild. And that sparked youth hockey, high school hockey, some college hockey. We have the SECHC, which is the Southeastern Collegiate Hockey Conference, which is Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, FAU. It's so cool. And it's all started because of these little Southern pro teams are starting to get really good. I mean, we just have Tampa won their second Stanley Cup in 2 years. Dallas fought for one recently. Now Nashville's getting an outdoor hockey game in February of 2022, the Stadium Series against Tampa. Man, let me tell you, there's a lot to cover. I know I'm ranting now, but another thing we cover is veteran hockey, which is very cool because I'm a veteran. I'm part of an organization called Seven Element. And Seven Element is a nonprofit organization that's founded by veterans, ran by veterans, for veterans, and first responders in the Nashville surrounding area. And they give us free gear to play hockey with, ice time, tournaments to play in, training. And then on top of that, we get coaching from NFL alum like Chris Mason, who played goalie for the Nashville Predators, Hal Gill, who won a Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins and played for the Nashville Predators and is now their radio analyst. And then JP Dumont's their head coach of our Preds Warriors team, who we had on episode 3 of Seventh Man Lounge the other day, which was really freaking cool. It's just so cool how much they do for us and don't ask for anything in return. It's an amazing organization. And so next week, I know this will probably air later on, but next week on Seventh Man Lounge, we're actually having the founder of Seven Element, Brian Bailey, on. And I'm going to talk to him because he fired a slap shot at me when I was playing goalie a couple of weeks ago, and it kind of messed up my wrist. We might have to fight about it tomorrow night.
That's amazing. Of course, who are some of the people that you have interviewed players wise and fans wise for the Nashville Predators?
For the Nashville Predators, my favorite so far, probably the biggest so far, is JP Dumont. He's a guy from old Canadian. He was drafted sixth overall in the, I want to say, 1996 NHL draft to the New York Rangers. Getting an interview at top 10 pick in the NHL draft, no matter what year it is, it's pretty freaking sweet. I've had on Justin Bradford. He owns Penalty Box Radio and covers a lot of Nashville Predators. He's usually the guy, it's the source for anything news-wise going on at Smashville. He's usually the guy breaking it for us. And Brian Bailey, who we're going to have on again next week with the veteran hockey in Nashville, probably my three favorite. He also is the business operations manager for Ford Ice, which is a Nashville Predators ice rink up in Nashville. I think those are my three so far, my top three. We got some big ones coming up in the future too. I know we're working on getting Chris Mason and Hal Gillen, which I was speaking of earlier. Tomorrow we're supposed to have a press conference. National Predators are don't know what it's about. Nobody really knows what it's about. There's some speculation going on that Pekka Rinne could be retiring, which will be a major significant lead for us because Pekka Rinne has been so great for us in goal, getting drafted in the 6th round after never starting a game in goal and then becoming one of the greatest goalies in Nashville Predators history. It'd be absolutely insane if we lost him tomorrow. I'd actually love to have him for another year to have a backup behind UC, but we'll see. But yeah, the future is very bright, man. Hopefully we're going straight to the moon with it, and I'm having an absolute great time with it.
Of course, speaking about players retiring or getting traded, what was your input on PK Shuko whenever he got traded to New Jersey?
You talking about PK Subban?
Yes.
Well, I will let you know. I have a PK Subban puck and picture signed over there. He is one of my all-time favorite athletes, period. Just the guy is so amazing on and off the ice. Just everything he does with his nonprofits, and then just his absolute amazing athleticism that we see on the ice. Unreal, dude. It hurt my soul, but I understood the business decision behind it. I mean, it's a money play. He didn't put up numbers to back up the pay that we were giving him. Do I think we should have given him up like we did when we traded or got him when we sent off Shea Weber? Don't know. Shea Weber's playing pretty good for Montreal right now. So I don't know if we really won that trade very much. Getting rid of PK, like I said, I kind of understood it. It hurt my soul. I did shed a tear. I was driving down the road going to my hometown that day, and I saw the tweet come up on my phone, and there was a few tears.
What are some things that you cover and topics that you talk about in the Nashville Predators?
Like I said earlier, we cover a little bit of everything, ranging from youth hockey, veteran hockey, what's going on with the NHL expansion draft coming up here soon. We got the Seattle Kraken, the new NHL teams getting ready to pick apart the rest of the NHL and create a super team, just like Vegas did a few years back. Really wish they would have given us that opportunity in '98 when our expansion draft happened. Definitely didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on some of the best players in the league. It's kind of ridiculous. A little upsetting, but it is what it is. But back to your question, man, we covered a little bit of everything. Then we just talk. I mean, this coming up with, we'll probably talk about some Loki because I know everybody in the world's watching Loki on Disney Plus right now, one of the best shows on TV. But like I said, we cover a little bit of everything, man. We have a good time. It's just a bunch of dudes sitting around, want you to feel like you've been listening or you're friends with us for the longest of time, and you just kind of feel comfortable listening and just hanging out with us.
Who are some of your favorite players with the Nashville Predators, current and past?
We covered the past one for sure with PK Subban. He's definitely one of my all-time favorites. Jordan Tutu, for sure. Dude was a vicious, just absolutely hard-nosed hockey player. I mean, if you see somebody wearing a Jordan Tutu jersey, which I have one up on my wall over here, that person usually likes really aggressive hockey. Alexander Solzer, just because our last names derive from each other, which is very rare with my last name. There's only like 480 of us in the United States total. Not very common at all. And then probably Philip Forsberg and Pekka Rinne. Those two guys I've actually gotten to meet personally, which was very awesome because 7 Element gives us free tickets to Nashville Predators games. And one game I got to take one of my son to we got to meet some of the Preds. So we got to meet Pekka Rinne, Roman Josi, Philip Forsberg, Nick Bonino, Dante Fabro, Kyle Turris. I mean, absolutely unreal experience, like getting to see these guys. And they were kind of sad because they were coming off a loss to Dallas, and I was kind of upset too. And we kind of had some conversations about the game, and you could tell those guys really care about what the fans feel, right? Because you can tell they were upset. And they were upset because they disappointed us, which blew me away. They weren't just mad they lost; they were mad because they disappointed us, the fans. And that just goes to show you how much that these players truly have bought in and love the city of Nashville, and how much the city of Nashville has bought in and loves this team, because the arena, the franchise has gotten awards the last 3 to 5 years of being the best arena, the best franchise in sports. I mean, the one thing we haven't got now is a cup. And by God, if it doesn't happen in the next 5 years, me and David Poyle are going to be having some fighting words.
Can you talk about, of course, being a fan of Nashville Predators and having a podcast? What is it like to meet those players?
It's kind of surreal. I mean, especially just you feel like these guys are so A-list and hard to get a hold of, right? But they're just normal people. Man, I have friends that see these guys going around Nashville just eating at restaurants, acting like it's no big deal, because that's just who they are. They're just good old random people, man. I mean, some of them are foreigners. They're not from here. They just like to live, man. And it's cool seeing them just be just like everybody else. I think that's one of the neatest things that you can find in a team. I don't see a lot of other teams doing that. I see them all at big award shows, not hanging out on Broadway with a bunch of fans. That's wild.
Of course, with the players that you have met, have you been able to interview them?
Well, with JP, like I said, he's an alumni, but otherwise not yet. I'm working on that. I'm still working on my networking and connections to get into that part of it. But like I said, that's to come. Once we talk to Chris Mason and Hal Gill, I definitely think we can make that happen. My goal is to hopefully get to talk to Pekka Rinne. That's probably like my biggest one right now. He's pretty VIP and exclusive and pretty hard to get a hold of, as you can imagine. I mean, he's been deciding for the last 8 days if he's going to retire or not. And it's very exciting too. This past season, after 2020 with COVID and everything, I didn't think I'd get to see one single Preds game this season. I didn't think I'd get to see one, honestly, until next season at least. I got to go to 4 this year. And the last 2 I went to were when we beat Carolina 3-2 and clinched for the playoffs. And then the very next game when Pekka Rinne got the shutout and they beat Carolina 5-0. Now, I know you're up in Carolina. We might have to fight about that too, because you seem kind of like a Canes fan, Brandon. I don't know, kind of made me feel some type of way when I saw all that Carolina stuff on your YouTube page.
Is some of the people that you are interested in interviewing, would you ever be interested in interviewing the Predators' voice, Pete Weber?
Pete Weber would be very awesome. It's funny you said the voice of the Nashville Predators. I'm actually in talks right now with Paul McCann, who is their PA announcer during games and has an absolute crazy personality that's just, you can tell in the end of periods, he'll say there's 1 minute left to go and everybody in the crowd screams, "Thanks, Paul." I mean, where else do they do that, man? But I would love to have Pete Weber on, Chris Mason, Hal Gill, Willie Donick. I'd love to have all these guys on. Lindsay Riley, she's great. Like I said, I'd love to have every single one of these guys. I love the Nashville Predators and everything about them, and that's like I said, that's why I'm here. I'm passionate about this team, and hopefully you can hear that coming out of my voice right now, because I'm kind of pumped now. It kind of makes me want to go get on the ice up in Bridgestone right now.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before starting the Nashville Predators podcast?
I won't say it was before this podcast, but I'm just saying podcasting in general is a job. It is a second full-time job. It is work. Don't let anybody ever tell you it's easy, because it's not. But it is so rewarding in the end once you've put in all that work and see the end product. And we're not even at the end product, right? Because we're always trying for perfection. And if you're a perfectionist, nothing's ever perfect. So we're always striving to get better, which is something fun. Getting to build all the new social medias, actually building a brand. We opened a store the last week and a half, and have already had 7 or 8 orders come in, which is blows my mind being a brand new podcast and have people buying our merch. Like, what is that? It's mind blowing, man. It's so cool what just one idea can do and can turn into. And I'm so blessed and humbled by all of the great fan reaction we've got from our listeners and everything. And I mean, to you reaching out to have me on your show, man, it kind of took me back a little bit. I wasn't expecting it because I don't get asked to come on too many shows, but this is fun.
What advice would you give somebody looking to start their own sports fan podcast?
Don't talk about it, just do it. Because the more and more and more and more you talk about it and think about it, you're just going to continue to talk and talk and talk and talk. Just go ahead, make that Anchor account, make that, I'm trying to think of other accounts that you can make podcasts on, but download Zoom, just try recording with some friends, talk about stuff and see how it turns out. Because I mean, worst case is you have to edit some stuff and you get online and guess what? People listen to you and like it. Why not? Take a shot. And that's one of my big things in my life is shoot or shoot. You will miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you shoot that shot, there's a very high chance you're going to hit. So just keep taking shots. That's all you got to do.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find your podcast, 7 Man Lounge, on social media and podcast platforms?
Where can you not find us at right now? You can find us on Apple, on Spotify, on Google Podcast, on Breaker. That's where you can find all of our shows. If you go to linktr.ee/7th Man Lounge, so it'd be linktr.ee/7th Man Lounge. That will actually take you to every one of our links, which is very helpful when you have like 6 socials, a merch store, and your podcast is everywhere. So you can find our merch store on there, our Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and of course Twitter, where I'm most dominant. That's where you'll usually find me, is on Twitter. I'm still kind of getting used to TikTok. I made my first one the other day ever, and I felt very Gen X for a minute, or Gen Z, whatever. The one below my millennial generation felt very weird making a TikTok the other day, but it's very exciting stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. We got a lot more content coming out. We actually have 2 giveaways going on right now. One on our Instagram, one on our Twitter. Giving away a Philip Forsberg signed 5x7 and a Mike Fisher, our former captain, Mr. Underwood himself, signed President's Trophy puck. 2 very cool giveaways. Those are going on. Twitter goes on until we reach 250 followers. Instagram is still 200 followers. Please go on there, subscribe. Oh, we have a YouTube channel too. Just started that. Subscribe to all of those. Leave us 5 stars. Leave us a review. If we suck, let us know we suck. If you like it, let us know you like it. Tell us what we need to do more. Tell us what you want to hear. We're all about listening to the people and giving them what they want. And I think at the end of the day, we're just going to have a lot of fun with it, man.
That's wonderful. Thank you again, Blake, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Nashville Predators 7 Man Lounge.
Thank you, Brandon, and good luck to you as well. Brandon Sports Talk. Enjoy the show tonight.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at @talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Blake, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks, man. You too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.